Hello and welcome to another Gua Sha Friday video in the forest. So today let's have a look at your shoulder and what you can do with Gua Sha. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel, and you can join me in the forest every Friday. Let's start with some tips about where certain things are on your shoulder. So to explain this, I'm going to bring in my help. Okay, so if you have a look at the shoulder area, you can see that there are a variety of lines coming over the shoulder. So these give us a kind of clue as to where the problem might be if you've got some kind of problem in the shoulder. So, for example, if we look at the front part, you'll see there's the lung channel. And that matches quite well with the idea about how all of your fascia is interconnected in the frontal movements of the body, which is actually part of the lung. And then if you have a look right in the middle of the side of the shoulder, well, that's the large intestine. And again, that matches perfectly with the lateral movements of something called the yang ming, which is the large intestine in the stomach, which has a frontal movement, but it also has a sideways movement. And just behind the large intestine is the triple burner. Now, if you're not familiar with the triple burner, don't worry too much about exactly what it is. It's actually referring to the system of arteries which are coming out of your digestive system. And with the shoulder, this is connected again with another sideways kind of rotational movement, which is part of the gallbladder, and the triple burner, which is the Xiao Yang movement of your shoulder. And then at the back, you've got the small intestine, which is coming down here, but over the back of the shoulder. And again, this matches the movement of the Tai Yang, which is the bladder and the small intestine, which is the backwards movement of the shoulder. And so we've got the channels which are in these areas. We've also got the actual structural movements which are based on the muscles and the fascia and the connective tissue. So on a very basic level, and it's a lot more complicated than this, if you have a problem with the forward motion of the arm and your shoulder, then it might be connected with the lung. If you've got a problem with the outwards movement of your shoulder, then it might be connected with the large intestine. And then if there's a problem with the outwards movement but also rotation, then that might be the triple burner. And then if there's a problem with moving your arm backwards and then you have pain in your shoulder, then that might be the small intestine. And it's they're related channels which are on your legs as well. So this is a way of looking at a shoulder problem within the context of your whole body. So how would you treat it? So of course you could start locally, and you could treat the front of the shoulder and the lung channel, which is in this area here, and then the front of your arm. And you can treat locally beneath the acromion here, and this will be the large intestine, or just behind that is the triple burner, and behind that on the back of your shoulder will be the small intestine. So you can treat locally in this area. And if you've got a problem in your shoulder, it might be applicable to treat locally, and Sha might come on the shoulder area. But also treating further down the arms on the relevant channel, treating on the legs on the relevant channel which is connected to the channel of the arm, and also some other areas. So there's another area on your hand, and I often talk about the second metacarpal as representing the whole body. But in this case, it's the metacarpal of your thumb, which is the one that would be useful. And just like it would be the head area, which will be at the top of the second metacarpal, the same with the metacarpal below your thumb. It's the top part of that metacarpal which comes down to your wrist, but it's the part of the metacarpal which is closest to your thumb. And just to the side, that's the area of the shoulder which is quite useful. Now, big joints are quite often mirrored which means that if you've got a problem in your shoulder, then you can quite often treat it with a joint which kind of looks similar to that. And which joint looks similar to your shoulder? Well, it's going to be your hip. And so that's one of the places you might be looking for sore areas to treat, and that will be around the hip. Now, probably it's going to be in some relationship with where the problem is in your shoulder. So if it was at the front of your shoulder, and if it was, for example, at the lung, and the lung is part of the Tai Yin channel. Now, the other part of the Tai Yin channel is the pancreas. So I'll be thinking about, okay, where is the pancreas around your hip? And then look for sore areas there and treat there. So that kind of principle, you can actually use other big joints to treat each other. Another very important area for your shoulder would be your upper back. And it's quite often an issue with the movement of the scapula, so there's lots of muscles around the area, and that's an area that it needs to be cleared of tension in order for the shoulder to have less restricted movement. Now, we also can use the principles of the scalp, and so if we get him into focus, okay, here he is. So if you remember, if you want to watch any other videos when I talk about the scalp, we've got zone 1, which is just where the hairline begins, and then there'll be zone 9 next to that. That's the one you want, zone 9, which is, get it into focus again, zone 9, and also zone 2. So zone 1 will be right here, and go back about 4 centimeters and you're going to get zone 2. And these are areas you can treat using gua sha. So that's just a basic idea of how I might look at the shoulder in terms of gua sha. So thinking very much about how is the movement of the shoulder, which movement is restricted, and then which channel might be involved in that restriction, and then look along the channel for any restrictions that you might find and then treat them with gua sha. And also think about the scalp and think about another joint which may have restrictions to it that you can treat, which may help this one.